What's going on, guys? Seth and Chevy here. We just watched episode 11 of Hell's Paradise. We're going to be talking full spoilers, so hopefully you've watched this episode, especially if you're watching a review for the 11th episode of anything. It'd be odd you'd be here wanting to hear what we have to say about it if you haven't watched this. So, quick recap. So the episode starts off with the brothers who climbed out the hole. They are, they were, but then we find out they were fighting, but we find out that the blonde brother was actually pulling a trick on the Doshi, laying there in his own blood. He turns around and he punches through him, kind of revealing that first off, he's fine. He should have died. He didn't. But also that he's got a trick up his sleeve, but also he's more powerful than the Doshi was expecting, kind of surprising him and his brother. As he gets up and starts kind of assessing what he's noticed with the Doshi and trying to learn his secrets, he has what looks like vines, almost like a tattoo, or at first I thought it was his veins or something, but it's some kind of visual indicator something's happening to him. The Doshi notices, good.
Specifically where scars are.
Yeah. The Doshi notices that his Tao is growing and he's becoming more powerful. And even his brother is noticing that he's changing. Is this still the same brother that he had before? So yeah, he strikes the Doshi. The Doshi's fucked up, and he wants to get information from him. I forgot, they didn't talk specifically about what's happening with him, but
Outside of his Tao was growing and he was regenerating.
yeah, he was regenerating because while they fought, he broke his arms or something, but they regenerated, and then the vines showed up where it broke. Mm-hmm. So really interesting stuff happening here. And we were kind of speculating that because he's been eating the flesh, he might be taking in tan. Mm-hmm. So something might be happening here. And he is able to defeat the Doshi, and he is ready to continue his pursuit of the Tenzin. But yeah, his brother is feeling a little apprehensive about what's happening here because his brother is changing right in front of him. And we see now that they can be taken down. We hop over to Gabimaru and Ko. They're fighting the Soshin and chopping them up. The whole time, the girl is trying to say whatever she's saying about weak, strong, weak, strong. The big guy's trying to figure it out as he's fighting. They're also observing Gabimaru as he's fighting. She's still saying strong, 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 strong with them. They're not getting what this weak or strong, weak thing is. And as they're doing that, a Doshi, God, I'm forgetting the terminology. There's so many names in this show. Attacks the bigger dude, forgot his name, and he blocks it. And essentially, the Doshi says that he's here to retrieve Mei, who's the girl who's growing. And yeah, they have a discussion trying to figure out why he's trying to get Mei. He reveals that he's retrieving her, and there's two of them. Second one of him comes out. So they decide that they're going to fight them to defend Mei. They fight with the guys for a little bit. They end up turning into... One guy's like a centipede dude. The other dude's like the butterflies that we've been seeing on the island.
Specifically, they're covered in them, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're controlling them, but they turn into their Megazord versions with their insects. So yeah, we find out during this fight that before the chronology of the episode's all mixed up for me right now, but they were talking and they found out that essentially the Tenzin, because they can become male or female, they need to engage in Congress. That is, they need to have sex.
One of the 5 steps of their power.
Yeah, and so they can change either or, but they essentially have to have sex to be able to have their powers. And Mei apparently is not one of them, so she can't switch back and forth. So she is one side of the yin and yang, and these Doshi are the other side of the yin and yang. And so basically she got banished from Horai because she either had to engage in Congress with the Doshi or die like a dog, essentially, and leave. She was banished. She left, and the Doshi were actually forbidden to go look for her, but they have happened to find her during this investigation of the humans on the island. And so they are very excited to continue or want to start their training with her, which is really creepy.
Yeah. Because it's like, it's explained there's 5 steps to gaining the power of the Tenzin or whatever.
Yeah.
And one of them is the joining of yin and yang in this aspect, male and female. So.
Yeah. So basically, they want her as a sex slave, and that upsets everybody. And they fight. And during this fight, the bigger guy's taking on all the bugs. Gabimaru's fighting, and during it, there's a break after Gabimaru, lights the area on fire, and he's talking. Trying to figure out what May's been talking about this whole time when it comes to weak, strong. Finally, he realizes he has to weaken his mind, and that is, he figures it out pretty quickly due to his, I forgot what it's called, something Kure.
It's from the basically the clan of ninja he's from.
Yeah, the ninja clan, and so he's able to tap into what that means fairly easily, and that's an understatement, and he's able to tap into it and see the Tao. He's starting to see the energy.
He was also presented a small example from May.
Yeah. And yeah, so he's able to engage with the Doshi and pretty easily dispatch them. Big guy comes in, slices one in half. Gabimaru takes the other one out, and or not out, but they destroy their armor essentially. And the Doshi decide that they're gonna give them all the information now that they. Wait, do I have that mixed up?
Okay, so he's able to see the tower or whatever, and he starts being able to dodge their attacks. He gets in close. He puts his palm out and blocks the guy's attack, and all the centipedes basically fall.
I forgot. Yeah, they talked to him first. I'm so distracted. They talked to him first. They're going to work with them for a second, but it's a ruse because he sends the centipedes behind him, and he jumps back, kicks through them, and then the fucking big guy comes down and chops the dude in half. So they've defeated the Doshi. So this episode, people are making progress on finally being able to combat these guys. We end the episode with Sagiri and company finally getting to Harai. They enter, and upon entering, a Tenzin flicks their wrist and takes off Groot's head. So yeah, that's the episode. We got people in Harai, and we got people finally killing Doshi, which is a step towards killing Tenzin. And my description of this episode a little broken, but I think we got there. What do we think?
So it's interesting. We now have 2 people who can see Tao and interact with it. One through instinct and one through basically just understanding. Once they were actually given the tool to see it, they just understood all of a sudden because of the type of training they went through. I am curious if more people will get that. Also, it's kind of hinted at that Sagiri's strength lies in a similar mentality, and now she's run into a Tenzin, so I'm curious to see if that's just
Sagiri for sure will tap into the Tao.
I feel like she's already kind of has it, but she's had the same problem that Gabimaru's had, which is this weird wall.
Well, and the blind guy kind of taps into it already.
Yes, yeah. That's how he even fights. So, he's just kind of naturally prone to it. I don't think he understands it to the same extent of like how to fight the Tenzin yet. Because he even himself, last episode, said he needed to become stronger in order to fight them still. So, so that was interesting. It was good to get backstory on May, and basically that she was technically Tenzin, but a rejected one because she could not. She didn't have yin and yang. She only had one. Yeah,
it's funny how in the last episode I was kind of speculating on some kind of trauma. I didn't know if it would be physical or mentally, but the situation that's been presented in this, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's kind of creepy.
So I like that. I also the explanation of like basically the steps and stuff like that. Though was nice to hear. It is very creepy, and I'm glad the cast of humans were instantly repulsed by it. So
it's less creepy in terms of the Tenzin, because I thought for like the last 4 episodes, I was like, so the Tenzin just sit around and drink tan and fuck.
like just hedonist, right?
Yeah, I was like, I get it, because they're trying to be like, this is the upper echelon, the higher, the crust of society, or at least on this island. But I'm like, that's kind of a boring existence, that all you do is just sit around on an island, think you're awesome and fuck. But it makes sense that it's something they're supposed to do too. Obviously they're, I hope, enjoying it, but like because it's a part of their system, it makes sense why they're doing it so often, and it's part of their society.
Yeah, well, and also, as the last episode kind of had said, he was trying to challenge the shogunate and he basically create his own society, and so that's kind of what he's been doing there, as much as it's very creepy. So
Yeah.
other than that, I mean, it was mostly just an awakening episode for 2
Yeah.
of the characters, which was great to see. The sequences were really well done. They're when they do combat, though not the most like crazy animated thing, the impacts are always really good. Specifically when like the one-eyed, the blonde brother or whatever, smashed that dude's hand. It looks so gross.
Yeah.
So they're really good at that kind of stuff for sure.
You think him and Gabimar are going to fight?
I mean, it's supposed to be like there can only be one type of thing, right?
Yeah.
But there's a greater threat right now. So I am curious. I feel like this season's going to end with the Tenzin, but it's not going to resolve him getting back to his wife, type of thing. And there'll be.
You think they're going to defeat the Tenzin within the next couple episodes? I feel like they might kill one.
Well, yeah, I don't think necessarily that it's going to completely, finish, but it's hard to say because there are 2 episodes and they're kind of making really quick strides right now.
Well, there's 2 episodes left.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's going to be some kind of big resolution and cliffhanger style thing to make us watch season 2. But I feel like we're working the way up to getting a win on one of the Tenzin. I feel like they're going to kill one.
Yeah.
And then it'll be set up the next season where they got to like take out the rest of them or fight them or whatever they're going to do. But I think we're at least going to see at least one of them get killed this season.
Yeah, well, and we're getting to this place where the humans are getting the same capabilities, and then they're supposed to like reintegrate after that. Like, I don't know. I'm curious to see what the game plan is, or if it just ends. So.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't imagine the blonde brother's gonna. I mean, he might cooperate for a second, but I don't think he's gonna get chummy with anybody.
No, he's too self-interested,
and he's becoming like powerful to the point where his brother is getting worried, and so I could see him becoming like a secondary villain for
or
the
he
other
himself
group.
replacing the Tenzin, right? He could become.
Well,
Tenzin,
once he becomes powerful, he's gonna want to become like all powerful. So
yeah, because it seems to be all he really cares about, right? Is him and his brother's survival. Nothing else matters
as of right now.
Yeah.
If he changes, maybe he'll stop caring about his brother.
Yeah. So a lot of developments that are kind of planting, seeds right now, and answers to a lot of questions happening pretty rapidly, which is good. So.
Yeah, I liked the episode enough. I think the secondary battle was like okay. It was kind of like a Neo awakening. Jesus Christ, this fly. It was kind of like a Neo awakening situation at the end of the Matrix where he puts his hand up and stops the bullets, kind of situation. But the first fight I thought was actually really cool. I actually enjoyed it. Seeing the blonde brother kind of brute force clumsily just start learning more and more through the way he's always done it, but inadvertently doing it because he's been, I assume, eating this meat and getting powers that are even to him. He's like, oh, I'm regenning. Okay. Because he's just doing what he always does when he fights like normal people. But I thought that was actually really interesting. And to see him actually defeat the Doshi was interesting because it makes me like him in the sense that he's taking out the people I want him to take out, but also makes me wonder, is he going to become a threat to people as he gets more powerful? It's kind of building up a villain possibly that I think could be interesting. So a dynamic in general that's going to be interesting. So I like where that's going. The beginning of this episode was actually a lot of lot of fun to watch his kind of like evolution, see his Tau growing and stuff. The secondary part of the episode with the fight and them trying to figure out the weak strong thing, I thought was fun. I kind of mentioned it before, but it kind of reminds me of I forgot his name from JJK, the main character. Why can't I remember his name? It's not Denji. It's
I'm bad with names, so I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Yeah, I just haven't watched it in a little bit. But anyway, him and Toto's, I like how I can remember Toto's name. Their relationship kind of reminds me of Gabby Morrow and this bigger dude. Because he keeps calling him his underling. He's like, I'm not your underling. And then he called him Shorty Maru at one point. And so there's like nicknames and stuff. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, once the fight started with the Doshi, the lore drop was interesting. The fight itself was pretty boring. Because it was a lot of just like awakening stuff. And I actually think the way Gaimar awakened was kind of, I thought the way the other guy got powerful was a lot more interesting.
I agree.
But the show went there with the whole sex slave thing, and I was like, oh, this is kind of dark. Which, you know, I don't like that that's happening or is a thing that happens in this world, but I like that the show is offering, you know, darker storyline like that where you're like, oh shit, that's fucking creepy. Like, yeah, definitely kill those Doshi. And gives a lot of weight to Mei as a character, and you're like, oh yeah, that's really shitty. Yeah, but this episode really, outside of you know, the two awakenings that happened and people actually getting to Harai, which I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know what they expect to happen there. It was a pretty straightforward episode. A lot more straightforward than my recap of it. But I'm really interested to see what happens in the next episode. We are kind of wrapping up this season, so something big is going to happen for sure. But I do feel like we're leading up to something now that we just learned about the Doshi last episode, and now we're killing them all.
The all three are dead.
I think I think we're working our way up to you know, fighting and possibly killing the Tensen, or at least one of them, which will be satisfying for me to see, unless somehow they shoehorn in a fucking some kind of sympathy story to them. Then we'll see where it goes. But I like where things are going. It's getting interesting, and I want to see where it goes. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right, let us know in the comments what stood out to you in this episode. What do you think about the two awakenings we got going on? What do you think is going on with the blonde brother and the Tau growing and the vines on him? What's your theory? And then with Gabby Mara, what do you think about his big revelation and learning how to fight these entities? What do you think about the Mei story? Yeah, what do you think about them getting to Harai and what do you think is going to happen? Let us know everything you think about in the comments below. I've been Seth. This has been Chevy. Stay tuned. We have a Demon Slayer review coming out. And then we'll have another one tomorrow because I think it's wrapping up. And we'll be reviewing that as well. So until then, we will talk to you guys later.